All right. So, what time is it when this happens? Like, what's going on? Is this in the morning or what's up?
I think we kind of established that this is something that happens while or Nesrin and Sylvia have concluded their little weird getting to know you slugfest, and they've been talking for a little while, but before Sylvia sneaks back to camp.
Mm-hmm.
So
So,
they're both kind of like having a little private gathering in the forest far away from where anyone will hear
mm-hmm.
them. In
So,
international waters, anything can happen.
all right. So, Nesrin had told you she had introduced herself to you as Nesrin Sayr after asking you what your whole name was. So now she knows your chosen name as well. What would effectively be your chosen name? So, she promised to tell you about Capital K Kovanen. So this is what she tells you after looking at the fourth wall and saying, "We'll do this as a pilot log. We just segue to this, and then we'll segue to what they did after that." So she says, "All right. So at the age of 7, the girl we know as Kovanen lost her entire family to an attack that was like a gas. There was this gas that was used. It withered our crops and it burned our lungs and it made it really difficult for us to breathe, let alone do anything else." In an ambush, and that was it. She managed to survive. She managed to not die in that attack. That just those weapons, that gas is, from what we understand now, was banned. It's outlawed, but it was used upon us. The girl we declared Kovanen took up a spear, not unlike the one I just gave to you, and she began to strike back. She declared herself Aegon, which is, I'm going too far, and she tore into anyone who was an enemy of her and hers. And she began to devise these cunning traps and lay these deadly ambushes, and her enemies, which are our enemies, did not take her seriously because she was 7. She was only a child. And thus she quickly left a trail of dead and ruined bodies in her wake. She killed thousands of these invaders by trap or ambush, and she left behind tens of thousands more permanently injured from those traps. And we joined her. We took up arms, and we learned from her how to set traps, and how to lay ambushes, and how to bide our time, stoking our rage, until the time was right to lay waste to those who would seek to destroy us.
So Sylvia absorbs that information and she kind of thinks about it and she goes, "So you're saying Kovanen is something of a prodigy when it comes to martial skill?"
Yes, she's named after the first matriarch. It's an honorific that is incredibly rare to give to somebody. In fact, she's only the second person, the original Kovanen, and her.
I feel a little bit awkward about that deliverance propaganda now in a way I didn't before.
Indeed, they're trying to devour that name. To us, that is one of the worst things that can happen to you. To have your name devoured and become known as Huta is one of the most ultimate judgments amongst Denishai.
Now I understand why you want to get her out.
Yes, and as you recall, Hyrule rebuked me for using the name S. That is because, as you can see, it's a pretty important name for somebody who went and brought fire back to the people. I'm doing my best, but there is no other name that I can call myself that would not be a condemnation, as I feel that I am nothing, but that is Huta. I cannot call myself a Wrath, because then I am lost, and it would destroy Hyrule and Joanne. I cannot call myself Alm. This is a completely different term to you, but it means it is my fault, because it is not my fault, it is theirs. I have no name to call myself but my own, which I cannot give to people without allowing them a route to me that will hurt them, or this name that I've chosen.
For what it's worth, I think it's a good name. I'm not a shy, and I don't know that I'm going to try to be, but names are important to you, and I can understand that much at least.
What does Sylvia mean?
Among the people I grew up with, it means very easy name to give to your firstborn daughter. If you look it up in a book, my first name, Sylvia, means of the woods, and my last name, Reynard, means fox.
Ah, Nesrin means wild rose. So we banded together alongside Kovanen, right? Sorry, if you want to continue before she continues telling you more about Kovanen. Sorry, go ahead.
She just says I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we banded together alongside capital K Kovanen, who again was calling herself Aegon. But we kept declaring her Kovanen, for she was with us. We were with her. And if she was lost, then we were all lost together. But she rejected that honorific, which is a huge affront to us. Like, when we call you something that, important, if you say fuck you, it's really insulting.
I can imagine.
And she doubled down, actually, and she declared herself a Roth. She went off to lay siege to a base, and we joined her. We overran it together, and we seized a small army of mechs to use that day, which really started to turn the tide. And again, we declared her Kovanen, and she insisted that she was a Roth. And so, we kept striking, striking, and striking. And for every one of us that we lost, they lost thousands. And they began to fear us, to hide from us, and they called us demons. Those Hutos were so readily capable of knowing a Roth and dishing it out, but they were unable to take it. To see it visited upon them as effectively as it was visited upon us was alien to them, such was their belief in their superiority. They had dehumanized us so extensively, they did not even recognize a Roth when it answered them back. She looks to you.
Sylvia just kind of grins at that, and she goes, I have had some experience with that.
She grins and says, I figured you did. So long before they had lost, too many of their lives and livelihoods to our unrelenting counter-assault. They started to fall over themselves, and they tried to negotiate a ceasefire. But capital K Kovanen, who was still declaring herself a Roth at that time, told those Hutos that they had started this war, and we were finishing it. She smirks.
I don't know why they decided to leave themselves with no option for retreat, but hey. So the wind reaped the whirlwind.
When she did that, people who were not even Ashai left their factions, abandoned those Hutos, and switched sides. They fled under her banner. Our banner. And since we had continued to insist that she was Kovanen, they called her Kovanen as well. They knew nothing else to call her.
And now she's stuck with it.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. I do believe that it was those non-Ashai, understanding and knowing Kovanen, recognizing her undeniable expression of it, and being completely willing to be Kovanen with her themselves, to fight and die alongside her, that finally swayed her. She embraced that honorific name, and she allowed us to call her Kovanen, and she called herself Kovanen in turn. And by then she was 12. She'd been leading us for almost 5 years.
Eventful life.
And then Deliverance showed up, and they joined the fight. And at first we fought them too, because we're not mind readers, Sylvia. We killed and crippled thousands of them.
But I would probably have done the same.
She nods. But then we encountered Skald. She was a colonel at that time. I think the story of how Skald reached us is probably capital K Kovanen's to tell.
Well, then, by all means, if she wants to tell it, I'll let her do that.
Yeah, I'm sure you have her number.
Something of that nature. I have a public line to her, but it's easily listened into. It's only recently with this new gadget that Quinn's working on that we've had any possibility of contact with her that won't be censured or overseen by someone within Deliverance. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say you trust them even less than I do.
I want nothing to do with Deliverance. But for all what we know, they saved our lives. They showed up just in the nick of time. And because of that, if they hadn't shown up, we probably would have been wiped off the face of this galaxy. So we have to repay that debt. But they sure are asking a heavy price. To see them weaponize Arath the way they have, it's more Arath than Arath. We don't even have a word for it.
They can't own you, you know. You can't save someone's life and then demand anything from them. Lives aren't things that should be held with something like a debt.
I agree. That is a brow thing. It is a Roth. I've been trying to talk to Hyrule and Joanne, and I've spent a lot of time trying to talk to the rest of those of us who have not been consumed. Yeah, again, I told you, 52%, more than half of us, are utterly consumed. I don't, like I said, I'm not exactly sure how to get through to them. I have a thought now, based on what you told me. We'll see how it works.
I hope it does.
But those of us who still have our wits about us, maybe I'll try again.
The sun.
You're fast learners.
Pay attention.
Just a son indeed. So, by the time that war was settled, that Kovanen, our Kovanen, was called the Black Sheep Kovanen. And that girl, your sister, is the term that was taken from me with her.
Wait, you're her...
No, not with her. Somebody I lost.
Oh. I see. Well. Sylvia is just going to lean back against a nearby tree and kind of fix her hair. She muddles things over. And she looks Nesrin or S directly in the eye and just goes like, "Thank you for telling me all this. It goes without saying that I'll be keeping it to myself for as long as you want me to. Is there anyone you want me to relay it to?"
I will be telling the same story to Quinn when I speak to her tomorrow. Sylvia, this term that she is expressing, it is bigger, it's deeper than love. It binds you on a spiritual level. It's everything.
Guess it'd be the closest term you have. Well, maybe not. I don't really know how Ashai society works, but it kind of sounds like you're talking about marriage.
It's bigger than that.
Double marriage.
Like ultra marriage.
Sylvia just like laughs, very happy that apparently she gauged right there, and there was going to be a sense of humor in her obvious on purpose mistake.
A marriage, it is of heart and flesh. That's ear again to us. This term is of the soul as well. Well, we're not sold on the idea of souls, but it is a spiritual marriage as well.
Well, sounds big for someone so young to be getting into, but on the other hand, so does everything else that you've told me about Kovanen, so maybe I shouldn't be surprised.
I did not have the honor of fighting alongside the girl we know as Kovanen. But Hyrule did. Hyrule was there. Hyrule saw what she did when she declared herself a Roth. If you think you went too far, and I think I went too far, the girl who declares herself Kovanen went further still.
Yeah, something tells me that she needs an exit strategy from where she is right now, then.
She's not going to leave until she's certain that all of her people have found their way out.
Well, maybe there's something I can do to help with that.
Yeah.
If you're willing to accept it.
Of course, I accept your assistance. As I told you, I know your chosen name and you know mine. We are family now. But I am not owed anything from you, nor you me. So, thank you.
I didn't want you to. I didn't want you to owe me anything, and I don't want to owe you anything. I want to help you because I'm free now, and I get to decide what I want to do and what I want to do.
During our skirmish, she played that music. That obnoxious music. What is it called?
The Final Fantasy X to the K-pop.
K-pop? Okay.
It's a cradle thing. I think it's very loud, and I don't understand the language. Really catchy. It gets in your head after a while.
Yes. Because I had declared myself Krith, I turned off my auto-translators. So the lyrics to that came to me in whatever language it is being spoken in, instead of the AIs that we use translating it into understandable language as they do.
Yeah, I just learned not to set my CompCon to listen to it.
But the song, even though I didn't understand the lyrics, I still felt what it was saying.
What was it saying?
She wanted to be our friend. She didn't want to have to be fighting. That she was doing this for her.
She wants to be everyone's friend. But she really wanted to be yours. I'm glad she's going to get a chance.
This paint that we wear means that we will do everything that we can to take no offense, to ignore all but the most egregious offenses, and to scour all interactions with us for only the most positive interpretation, such as our accord in paint. The original flour used to make it was native to Denmark. And we're all running out. We're gonna have to synthesize it. I don't know if it'll be the same.
Sylvia kind of looks down at her legs, which are still kind of cloaked in her hard suit. and kind of scratches on the back of her neck where the jack was before, where there's still like visible marks of it having been. Just kind of shrugs and says, "Some things you don't ever get back the way you wanted them to. I wish that weren't true, but it is. But sometimes what you get instead, worth a lot in its own."
Well, if Harold doesn't seduce your friend Isadora too much, she seems to have a skill in regrowing flowers.
Well, she is apparently a woman of many talents. I didn't realize that she was a botanist, but that sounds like something to talk to her about, not me.
If I can get her away from Hyrule, I will.
Good luck.
Hmm.
I was watching out of the corner of my eye. They were flirting hard.
Yeah, she lives true to her honorific, doesn't she?
What does Hyrule mean again?
To resemble that which you desire. But she wants to redefine it. That's a thing that you can do. That's why she scolded me about taking S and being this way. I can redefine it through use and association, through words and deeds. It can mean something else. It can transform through me.
Well, sounds like a good thing.
And normally it is. But look at what Deliverance is trying to make Kovanen mean.
There's only so much one pilot can do, but if you need an extra bit of muscle ever, and especially involving Deliverance, I will drop everything and be there.
For now, we must focus on bringing our lost people back to us. I just need to get through to those of us who feel as if we owe Deliverance our lives. And then I need to hope that this music and your lesson, that learning what you did, makes you stop through to Arath. And I can bring them back. Then, if we pull this off, the only Ashai left in Deliverance crushes is the girl we know as Kovanen. And she has no reason to stay. That's when you will have to make your play. The good news is, if Quinn is to term with her, we get her too, and Deliverance gets nothing.
I like the sound of that. Well,
but here's the thing, she is not. If this is one-sided, she is a threat.
Quinn, or?
Yes, Quinn is a threat to Kovanen. For she wants to have it unreciprocal is more of an ownership thing than a sharing thing.
Now that definitely sounds way too heavy for 16-year-olds to be getting into.
Yes. It is what Deliverance is trying to do. Not in the way that you and her were teasing about getting owned, but in the way we understand getting owned.
Sylvia, like, almost laughs at that and just goes, like, I apologize. I'm trying not to take this lightly. That's just fucking awful.
Yeah.
So I'll let you talk with Quinn, and I'll let you hear what she has to say for yourself. I think she deserves that. And if you talk to me afterward and you genuinely tell me you are scared that one or both of them could get hurt in whatever way by what she's about to do. I can't promise I will hold them apart or something. I can't make decisions for Quinn, but I'll talk with her and do what I can to change whatever's going to happen. And if I need to, I'll do what I can to keep them both safe.
Before you spoke to me here, I had come to the conclusion that if this was not reciprocal, I would have to destroy that girl. But hearing what you say, I will give you a chance, if it is not reciprocal, to get through to that girl, to get over it. But if it is, it's a good thing.
I'm glad that you decided not to kill my kid's sister if it turns out she's a liability. It just gives her a grin. Otherwise, I'd probably have to kill you. No offense.
And we are so equally matched. It's almost, I'm almost sad that we won't get to fight to the death, actually.
You never know. It's a weird universe, but if we never fight to the death, that means we can fight whenever we want.
I like that. Maybe when we're 90, we'll go down like warriors.
Well, if we all make it out of all of this alive, maybe once your people are together, and if you decide you still want to do any adventuring, I don't know. When my days mercenarying here are done and I have enough saved away, I was thinking of asking Lyra to come with me, chart out some places I've heard about. I've been hearing rumors of this place called Spari that has ice dinosaurs.
I've never heard of this place. What are dinosaurs?
Oh. Remember that big flying thing that we had to show Boss to?
Yes. The Skybane.
Those, but they're big, they run around, and apparently these ones live under ice.
Wait, big as in the Skybane was not big?
Oh, no. That's also big, but, this is big.
Bigger. Wow.
They are varying size. Anyway, I've kind of decided that quiet retirement is probably not in the cards for me. I don't really need to kill people to keep my life exciting, but, for better and for worse, I'm made to be in a pilot seat. And I'm going to be doing that as long as my body will let me get away with it. But there's a galaxy upon galaxy of stars out there, and when we're wrapped up here in Overture, I want to go set out and look for fights that aren't playing into someone's mind games or setting destinies in motion. Ones that I can really sort of have for my sake and not because someone else, somewhere else, absolutely, obsessively needs to control some square piece of land right this second.
Yeah. That is why I want to be done with Deliverance. I don't feel we are getting anything out of this. And for us, it is important that there be give and take.
Exactly.
If I'm invited to go fight dinosaurs with you, I will gladly join, though I would want to bring Joanne, maybe Hyrule.
Bring as many people as you want.
Yeah. Look, consider it a date, I guess.
I guess I can consider it a date.
She looks like wistful. Like, this is so weird. Like, she would not have done this. This is completely different. Like, she's a little, like, what's happening to me? Like, she actually looks at herself in disbelief. Like, I changed so quickly. I was ready to go and die about an hour ago. What the fuck?
On that note, I better go make sure that Lyra's not missing me. Hey, thanks for hearing me out.
Before you go,
Thank you.
do you truly not thirst for it still?
There are people who I have a long grudge against that it'll take me a long time to forgive, but honestly, the president of Smart Brain, people who did this to me, could keel over on his desk tomorrow and die of a heart attack, or he could die 30 years from now surrounded by women and wealth. And while I'd be disgusted by him either way, I don't really care. I've already bought the hold he had on me, I've already bought with blood. I don't see a reason to keep shedding it. He's lost his influence, his capacity to do harm is gone. I'll stop him if I ever see him pulling the same shit he did to me, but I don't think he can.
Let's see.
Their project was a failure, abjectly.
But you are not. You are not a failure. And I hope...
No, but I'm not their project.
Yes, you are your project.
And Sylvia grins.
I hope I can learn that from you, for I hunger it still. I dream of it.
Like I said, for what it's worth, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you not to use the word to talk about yourself, but I wouldn't worry about devouring your name or going too far in this case. The people who took your land from you needed to be stopped. It may have even needed to be wiped out. I don't know. To be honest, anyone who would treat other people like that needs to have their ability to hurt taken from them. And sometimes, regrettably, the only way I think that it's possible to do that is by the point of a spear or the end of a gun. But there's no reason to cut yourself off from other people or turn yourself into a weapon to do it.
In my heart, I know that you are right. But in my stomach, I hunger for their deaths. Thank you for speaking with me. I hope I can learn from you how to be satisfied.
For fighting with me. I hope I can learn more from you.
Be well, sister.
Well. And with that, scene.